me tell you, as a Jewish person, I encourage the United Nations to rethink this whole concept of Zionism, the state of Israel, because all of this was wrong from day one.
Why is it important for Jewish people to advocate for Palestine? Why, for all the Jewish people say that's not our problems, why is it your problem? Why do you do what you do?
It is my problem way more than it's anybody's problem. Because unfortunately we are seeing what is happening. It breaks the heart of each and every human being when we are seeing those images coming, those videos coming from Gaza. Not only the last 2 years, already for decades, but especially since this genocide is going on. And the last months we are seeing little children starving, little children dying because of this intentional starvation. This is unacceptable, and we as Jewish people, we are embarrassed more than anybody else because this is being done supposedly in our name. Our religion is being misused to justify all these crimes. Benjamin Netanyahu, who doesn't follow anything in Judaism, doesn't eat kosher, doesn't keep the Sabbath, dares to misuse that very same religion he refuses to follow in order to justify crimes which are forbidden in this very same religion. This is true hypocrisy. We stand here in front of the United Nations here today, and we plead with member states of the United Nations, countries of the world. So many countries have taken a stance, and we encourage the rest of them to come forward and to take a stance and to stop this injustice, because we can no longer tolerate what is going on. This is wrong from day one. And we as Jewish people say, killing, stealing, oppressing an entire people, this is not only crimes in international law, these are crimes in Judaism. This philosophy of Zionism to build a sovereign homeland for Jews with physical means, and especially on the account of others, this is in total contrast of very, very basics of Judaism. We are talking about people who don't know Judaism, don't follow Judaism, and therefore they support this wicked movement of Zionism. We should never lose track. We should never lose our minds. We should be right-minded, we should be righteous, and we should speak up for humanity. We should speak up for everyone involved. Let me tell you, as a Jewish person, I encourage the United Nations to rethink this whole concept of Zionism, the state of Israel, because all of this was wrong from day one. We need to stop this. We need to stop this in its entirety, not only for the sake of the Palestinian people, who simply deserve freedom, who simply deserve a better future. But we need to stop all of this for the sake of the Jewish people, because unfortunately we are witnessing an endless cycle of bloodshed where everyone suffers. The question is why? We need to realize what is going on, what's behind all of this. We lived in peace prior to the 1920s. We had no problem despite any differences of religions. The difference of religions was not the cause to the conflict. It was by the beginning of Zionism, with this agenda of overtaking the power and oppressing the indigenous population. At that point, the beautiful peace was destroyed, and unfortunately by the continuous Zionist crimes, this is unfortunately fueling this endless cycle of bloodshed. We need to stop this genocide. We need to stop this starvation. We need to break the siege in Gaza. But we also need to stop this occupation, stop it in its entirety, and then and only then we will be able to see this beautiful peace that did exist in the past. We hope to see this in the future, but we must take the right steps towards it.
Also, a lot of people don't realize, right? Prior to Zionism, over 95% of Jews were against the establishment of Israel.
Exactly.
They were completely against Zionism, and they said it was completely against the Jewish religion. But my question to you, my other question is, ever since Zionism has been found and Israel and October 7th, do you feel like anti-Semitism became worse because of Israel?
Certainly anti-Semitism became worse. And I would not call it anti-Semitism. I will call it hatred towards Jews. Got way worse since the beginning of Zionism.
Could you elaborate why you wouldn't call it anti-Semitism?
And I will elaborate, because we must really understand exactly what the definition of anti-Semitism is. Otherwise, we fall into Zionist propaganda, and then we end up supporting these crimes, which is dangerous to all. Anti-Semitism is when people hate the Jewish people because they are Jews, either because they were born Jews or because they follow the Jewish religion. The case in Palestine, none of us, nobody is happy with what is happening. Everybody is disturbed and traumatized when we see tragedies on either side. But we have to understand what is going on. If you oppress a people, to a certain point, something is going to happen. I'm not happy when we see reactions, and at the same time, I'm not happy when the actions happen. Unfortunately, when we see people with guilt feelings towards Jews because they believe Netanyahu, because they believe the Zionist propaganda, which insists that they represent all Jews. They insist to generalize all Jews. Unfortunately, the individual gets angry on Jewish people. Now, let me tell you this. Racism is bad. Racism is bad regardless to which people. But when we are seeing generalization, when people generalize all Jews and blame all Jews, who is doing that generalization? This is not the Palestinians, these are not the Muslims. This is Netanyahu insisting to generalize all Jews. Now we point our finger on the movement of Zionism for exacerbating anti-Semitism because they are the ones generalizing all Jews. They are the ones committing the crimes in our name. We always say, if you want to commit those crimes, don't you do it, don't you dare to do so. But if you do, that's your personal choice. Don't do this on the account of everyone. We need to join forces. We need to wake up humanity, including the Jewish people, to stand up and to stop what is wrong and to stand up for humanity, to preserve justice and to save everyone involved, including the Jewish people.
Also, I want to say, me personally, prior to October 7th, right? I didn't know the difference personally. I didn't know the difference between Judaism and Zionism. When my grandma cried about them stealing her land, she said Jews. She didn't know the difference. She didn't even know how to read or write, honestly. She wasn't an educated woman. So on my behalf, I just want to apologize on my hate that I had, and I want to thank you for showing me the difference and shedding light. And I pray to God you can have the influence for everybody else in the United States and all over the world, hopefully.
Thank you.
God bless you.
We definitely understand where you come from, and we understand guilt feelings that people have, and therefore we are out here.
Absolutely.
Therefore we are out here to share our feelings and to educate each other and to rebuild that peace that was sadly destroyed. All of us enjoyed the peace. I have close friends and relatives still consider themselves to be Palestinians. My son-in-law is 8th generation Palestinian, and they are not embarrassed to be Palestinian Jews. They want to preserve that history, and they want to see a better future for everyone.
So I guess I speak for everybody when I say free Palestine from Zionism,
right,
and free Judaism from Zionism.
Exactly.
Right? Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the camera?
My name is Rabbi David Feldman with Neture Karte International, www.n as in Nancy, KUSA.org.